So who knew? The biggest supporters of Obamacare, not necessarily the liberal Democrats, but private insurance companies that are getting huge government subsidies. And John, you say crony capitalism may be a bigger obstacle to any GOP hopes of dismantling the law than the liberals.
Absolutely. If you show me any government program, I will show you special interests that form around it in order to perpetuate it. And the good news, obviously, is that Obamacare is dying before our eyes, but I think it's incumbent on the Republicans to do everything possible to repeal as much of the law as possible, because the longer they wait, the more likely it's going to be that these special interests form such that we can't repeal it down the line.
Rick, Americans don't like a lot of things. They don't like Obamacare particularly, but they don't like insurance companies. They don't like crony capitalism. Look at how much these insurance companies are getting from the government right now. Aetna, 40% of the health premiums of Aetna are now represented by government, and 47% of WellPoint representing the government. I mean, that's huge.
Well, look, it's coming through the subsidies that go to people that go on the insurance companies. But I have to tell you,
subsidies meaning taxpayer subsidies.
Yes, taxpayer subsidies. They are. But I have to take some issue with the question, because it's not the insurance companies who are the biggest beneficiaries. It is the people who are, for the first time in their lives, knowing that they have health care if they get really sick. Those are the beneficiaries, and those are the reason and the people that will keep this law from going away.
Steve, just in terms of raw numbers, the amount of money the insurance companies are getting as opposed to the amount of money that the folks who are now getting insurance are getting is staggering. I mean, crony capitalists want the government, want taxpayers to pay more money into the system because they're pocketing it.
Well, it's all about cronyism, and that's why one of the things the Republican Congress should do and the next president should do is repeal the individual mandate and the employer mandate. That goes away with the program. And in terms of getting a real safety net, we do it in food with everything from food stamps to food banks. Why in the world can't we do the same thing in health care and have real free enterprise? Every time, David, free markets are allowed to work, you turn scarcity into abundance, and that instead of the rationing that we're getting now.
But EMAC, again, crony capitalism, of course, we've always had it, but it's been getting worse in recent years with the bailouts and everything. Now these insurance companies, I think they're a stronger block against repealing Obamacare than the liberal Democrats.
That's exactly right. And I love Rick Unger, but I think the reality check has bounced over there. You know, listen, during Obamacare talks, you had the insurance companies, they saw that honeypot of government taxpayer paid for subsidies, right? And so also the drug companies as well saw that honeypot of the taxpayer paid for subsidies. And what they talk was, and I've interviewed these guys, they said, Lizzie, if you don't have a seat at the table, you will be on the menu. So they saw it coming, and they're making a lot of money. Watch this. The insurance companies now have a monopoly on the state exchanges. There were a few dozen, according to the GAO, insurers in each state. Now there may be only 3. When you have a monopoly, you can raise prices at taxpayer expense.
By the way, I saw John's hands getting raised. John, I'm going to get to you, but I want to get first to Sabrina. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, Rick, you know, I always like to try to have a reasonable voice, but I did feel my heart really like it's about to pop out of my chest listening to you. First of all, I mean, if we actually wanted to help people, as Steve said, there are all sorts of market-based solutions that we could have done. This has nothing to do with helping people. Really? This has to do with a federal law that mandates that we all have health insurance. It means that insurance companies have a built-in pool of customers that they are providing it to, and the federal government is subsidizing it with our dollars. This is the most inefficient, corrupt system. I don't know how we can even pretend that there's anything not related to cronyism around here.
But other than that, don't you love it, Sabrina? No, I'm just kidding. John,
I try to be reasonable.
I saw your hand go up. Go ahead. Hold on, John. Go ahead.
Well, you know, the obvious tragedy of this is that in pulling in the insurance companies and the drug makers, we are not strengthening them, we are weakening them. Those that are close to government ultimately become worse off. And so the idea was to get insurance to people. The quickest way to ensure that a lot of people don't have a way of getting health care or access to insurance is to put these companies under the thumb of government. It's going to be law of unintended consequences times 10.
And Rick, government working together with a corporativist, crony capitalist is the worst kind of monopoly there is.
I just want to say, see if I can get the reality check to clear here. I just want to say that each and every one of you have made the argument for single-payer health care. How do you like that?
Wait, I'm sorry. I have to step
Hold on. Rick, that will not pass because that is absolute. There's nothing worse than a pure government monopoly.
Well,
that's the worst
so
monopoly at all. A duopoly is bad enough when you have the insurance companies working with the government, but a pure monopoly, come on.
And can I raise,
no competition at all
I do want to raise one question because I hear everybody talking about the individual mandate. I get you don't like it. When you can tell me how you can cover people with pre-existing conditions without
Steve,
it,
I think Steve, hold on, Steve might have an answer. Go ahead, Steve.
You can have high-risk pools that the
they
states
don't work.
have.
We've done it.
Because they haven't done it right. And then in terms of the whole free markets, one, you have abundance, so that takes care of it. And then we get true insurance, which is about long-term diseases, pre-existing conditions, instead of trying to cover everything from first dollar to last.
Quick last word, Sabrina. Go ahead.
And I think that we have to be clear. We are not interested in making sure that everyone has health insurance. We are interested in making sure everyone has the necessary health care that they need. And if we are providing something to everyone, we can't do it.
Good.
No, Steve's absolutely right.
Okay, gang, thank you very much. Coming up next, the new Freedom Index.